And I will pull up some slides. Well, welcome everyone to our summer 2022 Institute Flexibility for Equitable Learning and Teaching. And this is our open lab. So it's really a time to chat, to have discussions about, hey, we've had 4 fantastic sessions. We've seen some equity concepts. We've heard from faculty and staff around the system who've shared examples of how they addressed flexibility for their students in the past year. But now we have to get to work, right? We have to think about how this applies to our courses and what we're going to do for fall. And so we're here just to support you by making space to show some ideas that you're considering and getting feedback or asking questions or just having a discussion. So let's start with what's on your mind. And feel free, since it's a small group, introduce yourself, what campus you're from, and we will, it can be reactions to what you experienced, either synchronously or asynchronously during the Institute, or it could be some topics that are just, you came here ready with some questions, whatever it is. Let's cover it.
Hey, I'll go first. Yay. My name is Wanda Kirchu, and I am a lecturer over at San Jose State University in the teacher ed department. And I love the idea of the switching out the syllabus to something that's a little bit more usable and friendly instead of just a splatter of information that nobody ever uses. So I like the idea of what you presented the very first day about having a modified syllabus, but we never really got into that because that intrigues me. I mean, we're living in the 22nd, excuse me, that was wishful thinking, 21st century, and to relay information in a way that is basically not kept up with the times and the way people learn is just not useful. So I would like to have something that's either interactive or I don't know. So I'd like some more information on that.
You bet. So, and I want to create space for anyone in the room to give Wanda answer to her question. I'm going to start by putting in the chat a resource from the California Community Colleges. It's a little course on how to create what's called a liquid syllabus. And the liquid syllabus is something that's friendly for mobile devices. It's usually using something like Google Sites, the website tool. It has video in it to humanize the conveying of information that often can be very technical or a policy or things like that. So that's one place to start. I'm also going to stop sharing for a second and pull up my syllabus, which I'm still working on, but can be an example of some of the things that we want to talk about. And while I do that, does anybody else have an idea of to help Wanda with creating a new breed of syllabus?
This is Klaus. I'm instructional designer at San Jose State University. We are actually, the university is actually rolling out an online syllabus for the entire university, and that'll be happening, I believe, later this summer, but we've already been working with it with some departments and trying to figure it out. So that may be different, and maybe Wanda's already using that. I'm not sure. No, she isn't. Yeah. So it's an online syllabus tool, and faculty will have rights for changing and editing and things like that. And there might be constraints within different colleges on campus or departments. So that might be one thing coming up.
So it seems like that's a connection ready to happen. You're both at San Jose State. And I see
So,
Megan
so
has her hand up
question,
too.
well, quick question, is that going to be interfaceable with Canvas?
Yes. Yeah.
Megan.
Hi, I am an instructional technologist at CSUN, and one of the tools that I have really enjoyed working with is Adobe Creative Cloud Express, which does allow you to create either infographics or web pages. And one of the nice things about being a part of Adobe Creative Cloud, if your campus has access, is there's actually a resource called the Education Exchange from Adobe, which includes lesson plans and projects. And one that I've been working with faculty is actually creating web pages of your syllabus. There are going to be some questions about accessibility and making sure you do include alternative descriptions or alt text for images and things of that nature. But that has been a project that some faculty have really enjoyed that I've worked with.
That's good information. Wanda.
Question, do the instructors have to pay for that, Adobe Creative Cloud? Because yeah, it costs money.
So our campus, I can't speak for all CSUs. I know CSUN allows free access for faculty. So CSUN has that available. I can't promise for your campus, but I would double check with your academic technology team and see if you do have access to Adobe Creative Cloud. However, Adobe Creative Cloud Express is actually a web-based product, kind of like Canva, and you can create a free account, just like Canva. And that will still allow you to use web pages. It just gives you fewer stock images. And I don't know if you would have access to the Education Exchange without the Creative Cloud subscription, but Adobe Creative Cloud Express in and of itself, you can create a free account and create web pages if your campus does not provide Adobe Creative Cloud access for everyone. This tool used to be called Adobe Spark. If anyone was familiar with that, they just rebranded, and I'm not sure why they went from Spark to Adobe Creative Cloud Express. But it's a great tool, and I'd be happy to talk about it more if anyone else wants a little more information.
That'd be great. And in the Slack channel, Megan, or in the Canvas environment, if you want to share any examples that you've created with the tool so that people can see what the final product looks like, that would be cool.
Sure.
I'm gonna, and if you have one ready, you can pull it up, you can share your screen. I'll give you some time because I'm going to share my syllabus just as an example, not of something perfect, but something in progress. And I used Google Sites for this because I want to work toward that liquid syllabus that I talked about earlier. But part of it is not just the tool and how easy it is on a mobile device, but also the language. And so you can see, instead of the sections being course information and all that stuff, I changed it to what do you need to know about the class, about the teachers, and about you, the students. So really making it a lot more accessible from a language standpoint. And then when we dive into these sections, we start with what are your needs? So we have the campus accommodation statement for student disabilities, also acknowledging that high percentage of students may have basic needs that they're struggling to meet, some different things about respect for diversity and personal identity. And then what are your responsibilities as a student in this course? And you can see I've got participation at the course level and the module level, which I call a quest to make it more fun, like a game. And so you can see I've broken it down, quantity and quality in terms of the expectations and so on. So this is just, I'm a big fan of using second person. You will see this, and rather than students will do X, Y, Z. And that, again, humanizes it a little bit more. And these are just small little tweaks that we can make. What's interesting is the official copy of the syllabus that the campus wants to see requires the third person, students will do X. So I actually had to create a formal version for the campus and then this version for my students. But I also try to represent the students in my class. So you can see, because we all teach in really diverse campuses, I have students as part of their learning in my class, which is how to learn with your mobile device. They're learning how to become learners. I have them choose what kind of learner they want to be, a learning warrior, a learning guide, or a learning sage. And you can see that I tried to find images from image galleries that reflect the diversity of the students that I have in my classes, which are general ed, lower division courses. But I'll stop sharing for the moment just to see if that sparks any conversation or ideas. And I see Klaus has put, and Megan has put some links in the chat, so that's great.
Yeah, and that link, one link is for Adobe Education Exchange is a free area for anyone in education, different levels of education, to get information and tutorials on their products. But coming up in about a month is a free, it's called Adobe Education Summit, and that's free also, just online. So it's and it's at the end of July 26, 27, 28. So that link takes you there. You can sign up for 1, 2, or 3 days of the Adobe Summit. At San Jose State, we are privileged to have a license for the Adobe Creative Cloud, which has so many programs in it. But some programs are free, like the Adobe, what was Spark? No, I forgot what it's called.
Adobe Creative Cloud Express.
Express, yeah, that's right, the Express, and things like that.
And I
Anyways.
do have a couple of web pages pulled up that I could share if you like.
Please.
As I'm not a faculty member, so I wouldn't consider it a full syllabi, but I've got some teaching plans and then kind of a web page that I created for one of the workshops that I taught. So here is a workshop that I put together that was over our spring break, talking about video and Canvas. You were able to click on this button and go directly to registration. And then this looks like something that you would have to know coding or web design for, but it is all just text boxes and adding images. And so this is one of the ways that you could utilize the web page tool. You can see I talked a little bit about the course and the outcomes, the deliverables that would be created, and then a little biography session on myself. So this is one example. Another I've got here was teaching video in the LMS. You can see I've got kind of a similar format here, talking about how we would be organized throughout the course, as well as just some images to go through it. And while I'm in here, if I go ahead and exit the preview, this is just kind of a little behind the scenes of what it looks like. You're able to add anywhere you see a plus sign. And when you click that plus sign, you can see what you would like to add. So if you want to add a button, that would be a link to connect somewhere. You just have to copy and paste that URL and say what you want the button to be. If you want to add any text, you just start typing. And then you can designate if it is a heading or a quote or a list so that it is more accessible for screen readers. And yeah, all of these web pages are just that kind of easy as terms of plug and play. So I'll share that in the Slack as well, in case anybody wants some examples to play from. And I'll see about adding a link for the Adobe Education as well.
Well, thank you very much. Those are great examples, and I appreciate that you're going to put the link. And Wanda says, "I love this." So Wanda, now does this raise any more questions, or just gives you some stuff that you want to go try?
Excuse me. It just gives me stuff that I want to go try, because I'm like, wow, the possibilities are endless. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this, because working in the teacher ed department, we're always encouraging people to use new stuff, but you know, we're not providing examples of the new stuff, whatever that might be. So this is a great starting point for me. So you guys have been magnificent. I love you. So and Klaus, hi Klaus. I want to be your new best friend.
Yeah, combined with what I'm learning in this class, which are even more tools, it'll be, and considering your motivation to, use some of that in your courses, that's great.
Sorry,
Looking forward
Wanda,
to
he
that.
belongs to San Jose.
So does Wanda.
I beg your pardon, Wanda. Nice to meet you. It's
Oh, hi Denise. This is awesome. You guys are awesome. Yeah, it's done. Hi. Yay, we can have a cohort.
How are you?
Yeah, there's another
So-
Spartan in the group here. I haven't met him yet.
Yeah, so I'm pretty, this is pretty magnificent. So I'm very, very, very excited about this. I shouldn't be overly excited, but I am.
it's
And,
okay. We need to be excited.
We'd love to see whatever you end up with at the end of the summer. So if you want to share back out in Slack or in the Canvas course, just let us know.
I will do that. Thank you.
All right. For those of you who are just joining us, what we've been doing is just sharing what's on our mind. What did the 4 sessions, the 4 modules from this summer's institute raise for you in terms of projects you want to try, questions you want to answer? It's really, this open lab is really open in multiple respects. And so this first part is really meant to just get your ideas and questions out there. And Wanda got us started off with a good one.
Well, Kevin, I have one question.
Sure.
Maybe it seems a little bit silly because, I am preparing something. Unfortunately, I am faced with resistance inside a department. They say this, we don't need this. So the question is, when you are faced with some resistance like this, what you should do?
So I guess the question is, what is it that they feel they don't need? Is it flexibility for our students? Is it using specific teaching strategies?
Exactly, it is all of this together because, I was planning to redesign a new course. First thing first, I was faced that we don't teach that course. This is quite wrong. The other thing was we had one contractor told us that 7 years ago that these things will not work. This was the second. Third thing was when I was talking about these new ideas of equity, they told, well, everybody knows that. So having this kind of situation, what you will do? So that was the question that I have when you are faced with a society or some community that they are very, very cautious and they don't want to change anything. At that moment, what you would do?
Well, I like to approach it with kind of an open mind. So it's great that everyone here already knows about equity. I'd love to see examples from your course about how you are leveling the playing field for students, how you are removing barriers that get in the way of their learning, addressing biases or assumptions, and just take them at their word and ask for examples. And you can let them know of the different ideas that you've gained from these workshops as a way to show that you're in an active exploration and you're looking for ideas. Now, whether or not the program is allowed to tell you that you can or cannot change your course structure or your course materials. That depends on the department, right? So I'm a lecturer, so I've been lucky that I am allowed to design the courses that I teach for the most part, but I know that's not always the case for lecturer faculty members. And because I teach a general education course, it's been a 2-year process of getting it instituted as general ed because the requirements changed and the committee didn't meet for the entire pandemic. So those things are part of the process, but academic freedom says that you have the right to do certain things within your course. And I don't think anyone would complain or have a problem with you trying to meet the needs of students, whether it be using a universal design for learning strategy, which says that I'm going to create multiple pathways for you to review this content or participate in this activity or show me what you know for this assessment. Those things, whether or not people would like to do it themselves, it shouldn't be a problem if you want to do it yourself. I'll stop talking and see if anyone else from around the Cal State system has answers for Yazdan about how to address the pushback that we might face with people who might either not understand the significance of flexibility and equity, or might not want to address the workload that may be implied by redesigning parts of your course to be more equitable or flexible or both. Denise says, ask for forgiveness before you ask for permission. I love it. Yazdan, are there specific strategies that you're interested in trying?
Well, because this is, I have lectured many different courses in a pandemic time, because from one department to the other department. And the thing that I witnessed that when I was approaching a student, it worked. But the problem is the higher ups, sometimes they do not want to listen. For example, when I lectured a mathematics course, and the head of department, your grade is better than the other person. I did not understand that, I did some elements of specifications grading. I did lots of things, many, many times that I tested the students. It took me a lot of time, but in the end, I am faced with this kind of remark. So, how it is frustrating for someone who wants to change, because everyone knows that mathematics in this country is in trouble, but nobody wants to address that. And now that I am addressing this, I am faced with that things. This was one of the things. Although I am an engineer, but I can teach mathematics and I can teach other courses too. There's no problem for me. But because this is the idea of equity and the other thing of specifications grading I wanted to bring. But unfortunately, these kind of things happen. And again, I'm redesigning another course and I'm faced with these kind of things. And 4 times, you go through writing the syllabus, changing the syllabus. It is very, very difficult. But again, sometimes I think, okay, I'm doing all these things. And finally, the person who should say, okay, it is very good, said, well, the students will not like this because of that, because of that, because of that, without checking something. So these are some of the problems, that I am facing. And really, it is frustrating for me. So I look at what Dennis wrote for me. Well, forgiveness before permission. Well, the problem is more than that. They will not listen.
So another avenue to go, because you're working with scientists and mathematicians, is evidence, data, which often appeals to that crowd. So I just put an example of just the first link when I typed in research on impact of specifications grading, and up part this article about that. And so you can take a look at different research to see if that will help you make your argument
Thank you.
with the higher ups. And if you want, we can go offline and create a Google Doc or something that will allow us to put together a list so that you can say, it's not just one article. There are 10 different articles that show how specifications grading is more equitable, leads to better outcomes for the students, you know, and so on. So I think it's always going to be a challenge when someone has their walls up and doesn't want to take it down for any reason. But again, when you're presenting them with logical arguments that are backed by evidence, the very least they can do is say, well, you're welcome to keep doing that. If they're worried that your students are performing better, and when they say your students have better grades than the other classes, then that should be an indication that they should be trying
Kevin,
to.
something that, I have found that with mathematics, something very interesting. The thing that classical thing they do not consider we have foreign students. And what I've learned from my teaching that was that to make it visual for them, that they do not need to understand something. I did that, and unfortunately, there was another part of the questions that it came from the department, and exactly they did word questions, and the level of student dropped, the grade dropped, and I saw that, and I told them this is wrong, but nobody again listened because we have a system. This is long time we are using this, and I was telling them maybe the system is wrong. Why you don't want to change that? But nobody listened. So again, these kind of things happens, and I have come from Europe. I can see something that people here cannot see that easily. But unfortunately, I come something like this that happened for me. It's very bad. I talked to a person. I was changing another course, and after that, I received another email. Well, we have found another person better equipped for this course, and I was wondering how it is. If you take a look at my publication, is much more than necessary. It's 40 publication. If you are thinking of my lecturing, it is more than 20 years in 3 different continents. Why you are doing this, and what with email? And these kind of things, sometimes, it is very frustrating. And we are here in this kind of classes. How many people there are here? If you take a look, there are not that many. We have many faculty members. Not every one of them will participate. And then these people that will not participate, these are the people who will attack me. This is the problem.
Well, I commit to supporting you however I can. So while we can't answer all your questions right now, I'm happy to keep working with you, as we go. Gabriella has her hand up, and I see Emily joined us, and she might have some ideas at the system level as well.
Well, I was a little bit curious about what kind of directive the professors are given in terms of syllabi, because I know that at one point, as a person who collects them for the department, it was a challenge to get the syllabus for all of our faculty. And then I think recently I've had faculty who basically submit not all parts of their syllabus because they have certain portions of it that are proprietary to avoid having, I guess, their content reassigned. And so I guess as a professor, you can actually create your full thing, but then you may want to have a mock-up for when you're presenting something to the department, because there's certain things that we as a department have to see, but we don't have to see the whole thing. So I don't know if that answers.
Well, Gabriella, thank you very much. This was the case, because, only I wanted to add, for example, mathematics or specification grading. So I went to the head of department. He told me, don't talk to me, talk to another person. And that another person, when I talked, She told me, yes, it is okay. So when in the end, something like this happened and I mentioned that I had the authorization that you gave me, he did not respond back. This is one thing. The other thing that I'm preparing is the syllabus for a new course. This is the course that I have lectured for something like 10 years. And I want to change something because I don't think the people who lectured this, they have seen this. You know, not only that, I have lectured, I have worked in industry, so I know very good these ideas. But the problem is they do not want to listen to me. Although, you know, I'm working with another person to finish the syllabus. But, you know, this is very frustrating because after that, I should go have some time talking to these people. And, you know, it is like punching the wall. Believe me, you have not been. I am adjunct here. I have been permanent in Asia. I have been permanent in France, but here I am adjunct. So unfortunately, I am facing this problem and, you know, it really affects me badly. You know, we are talking about everything. We are protecting our students, but none of us, we are talking about our professors. It is possible one professor is suffering here. And this is my case too. But unfortunately, I do not find anyone to listen to me. So that's my problem.
Well, again, I hope you've found at least the start of a community with this group here. And I know there are challenges, again, because we have curriculum committees that need to approve big changes to our course structure and syllabi and things like that. So let's put this as an action item that we'll continue working on this with you. And I commit to do it. And if others are interested, they can join in the fun as well. But we'll see how we can support you as you seek to redesign your class.
Thank you. Thank you very
You
much.
bet. As a fellow adjunct lecturer, faculty member, we have to stand together, right?
Thank you.
So more good questions. We've talked about how we can make more inclusive and welcoming syllabi. And then we've talked about how to address pushback from our colleagues, our department chairs, and other leaders on our campus when we try to incorporate equitable teaching practices. What's the next good question that you all have that either stems from what you saw or heard during the Institute, or share something that you're thinking of trying that you want to get feedback about or ideas about how to do it?
I have a question. I noticed that on the modules, it has that you've completed it. Is that something new on Canvas?
I don't know how new it is. We used it last year as well. It's a setting that basically allows you to help people track their progress. And it's something that we recommend for these flexible courses, because if a student is meeting in person one day and then online the next day, and they aren't sure what they've done or what they haven't done, then that little activity completion check mark means that they know where to pick up where they left off. So we can definitely point you in the direction on how to set that up. There are going to be some Canvas guides, they're called, which are those little how-to documents that the Canvas group puts together. And we can definitely make sure that we can get that to you.
Yeah, it helped me because I was like, wait, where did I leave off of? Then I saw the little check. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So it's very helpful.
Now, Klaus, being at San Jose State, are there resources that you all provide related to doing that type of thing in Canvas?
Definitely. We have workshops on different levels of Canvas, 1, 2, or 3 workshops every month. But then also there's beginning of the semester, we have sessions, quick start programs that include a lot of the technology that we have. I think for that item, for that check mark, I think it's you just make an item required, and if it's required, I think that check mark comes up. there's a
Mhm.
setting for that. I'm not positive that's the one. It
So
is.
you can do one of three things. You can make it so that students can decide that they're finished with something. Sometimes it can be just that they visited a page. So if there's a page with a video, even if they click on the page and then leave but never watch the video, they still get a check mark. So I like asking students to consciously say, I feel like I got what I needed from this, rather than hitting the page and getting an automatic check mark, because they could come back later and see it and skip it and not actually review the content they need to complete the activity or the assessment. And then there's I think a third variety, that if it's something like a quiz or a discussion, that they have to complete a certain amount. For a quiz, it might be they need to get 80%. For a discussion, it might mean they need to post an answer to the prompt and reply to 2 other students. So those different things are, again, in the settings for each activity. And then at the module level, you can make it so that they've completed the whole module if they've finished one thing or what have you. And it might be the very last thing, the assessment, or it might be a combination of things. But again, we'll make sure, I'm making a note in my little notepad here to post the links to Canvas guides related to activity completion. Great question. Is there anybody here that uses activity completion, whether your campus uses Canvas or Moodle like my campus or something else? Doesn't look like it. So, oh, Wanda.
Actually, I didn't realize one could do that. Ours were preset from the courses that I imported into my Canvas shell. So that's something that I didn't know. Thank you for the knowledge.
You bet. And again, this whole Flexibility for Equitable Learning and Teaching Institute is not only conveying ideas, but we're trying to model flexibility. So we know that some people right now are watching this recording. Hi, everybody in the future. And we're glad to have you here. And so we're trying to create structures that support learners in different learning modalities. And hopefully the Canvas course we've set up and all of these sessions that we've had in real time show what you could do in your own course, even if you do it slightly differently. Great question, Denise. Thanks for asking.
I think the questions are going to come after we start building our class.
Well, then maybe what I can do is identify where you all think you want to go with your courses. So let's pull that back up. So I'm going to turn on the annotations. Let's see. There we go. So in your toolbar for Zoom, you should see an annotate link. And what I want you to do is I'm going to paste some instructions in the chat here. So thinking about your course, are you interested in creating flexibility for how students engage with one another? Are you asking questions about how to support students with assessment? Are you excited about something related to managing an environment or juggling the different technologies? So take some time to think through the different sessions we've had or that you watched the recordings and just put an asterisk or a question mark or an exclamation point about what's important, unclear, or exciting for you. And again, just use that annotate button in the toolbar.
I don't have that annotate button in my toolbar.
Interesting. Is it maybe under the more with the 3 dots?
I don't have 3 dots.
Mhm.
For some reason, we don't have the more. All we have is like record, live, reaction, apps, and whiteboard.
Okay, well, I have done enable annotation for others. Let's see if Teresa knows the answer to this question.
No, I'm stumped too. I'll look around though.
Okay, well, we can use the chat as our backup, right? So if you just put 1.1 or 3.2 with a question mark or an exclamation point, that's another way we can peel this orange. Or you could even just say assessment, question mark. Course structure, exclamation point. Wanda's going for it all. So Denise, you said that it's going to take some time to generate the questions as you get started with making your course more flexible. Can you think through some of the assessment or engagement strategies that you currently use that maybe we can help you walk through together? Like, how do we make that more flexible? Would that be interesting exercise?
Yeah, I do discussion boards a lot.
Mhm.
And I was reading somewhere where I would like to make them more like flexible. And I think sometimes when you make them flexible, it increases engagement, which makes it easier to assess how the students are. And I was thinking of something different to do with discussion boards. One of the classes, I asked the students to put a picture or video to answer it. And that was very successful. But I was thinking, I read somewhere, because I have flight of ideas, forgive me, I said this earlier. I read somewhere where you could have have the students create the discussion board questions. Have anybody come across something like that before?
You definitely can do that. And it's similar to student generated test questions.
Right.
Basically create a Google Doc or something where students can chime in to identify what they think is important or what they want to dive more deeply into after participating in some mini lectures or something like that. So you can create space for students to contribute to those topics, and you would just maybe put some structure on top of it. So let's say that, tell me the course you're thinking of doing this for.
It's a nursing course and it's a professionalism course. So I didn't like the way that other teacher did it. And so I've got to kind of revamping it. And I'm looking at ways to make it more authentic, like connect with issues that are happening now that are in the news.
Mhm.
So that's what I was thinking.
Could be what's in the news, and you can also encourage them to go do a quick 15-minute interview with an actual nurse or nurse practitioner or whatever
I like
level you're thinking of, LVN, RN, whatever, so that they can bring back to the class what they found in their community setting, whether it be a clinic or a hospital or something else.
Ooh, I like that. Thanks.
And then an example from, it was ethnic studies, but it was a health equity topic.
Mhm.
The instructor used to assign students to watch different video clips and write a summary and their reaction to it. She changed it to make it more meaningful to the students by saying, I want you to watch these video clips with family members, your roommates, your friends,
Ooh, I love that.
and then you're going to facilitate a discussion about the topic with the people in that room. And your essay is no longer going to be a summary of the video, which is easy to do. It's going to be a summary of your discussion, what was important to the people in the room, and what questions people still had. And they just take one picture of the group as they're having their discussion as kind of the evidence that they did it. And it could be a screenshot if they're doing it over Zoom, because they can't get all the people in the same room. They can still use electronic tools to bring people together. But I'm going to start doing that in my class because I love the idea of students bringing course topics back to the people that they care about and having those conversations.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I teach a diversity class in the doctorate program. This would be great for them. Thank you.
You bet.
I feel like Wanda now. I'm getting excited. I want to start doing my class.
There you go. Well, then we're going to see more exclamation points in the chat for what excites you. Anybody else? I see Gary's going to work on assessment. Gary, what are you thinking?
Well, I have a problem. I'm teaching 3 classes that are the exact same class.
Mhm.
And one of them are online and 2 of them are in person. And when I taught this course last semester, it was strictly an online course. And so they submitted a paper off of the readings every week and then took a weekly quiz through Canvas on the readings or not the readings, but the lecture slides in the textbook. But with 3 classes and looking up to approximately 250 students between the 3 classes and no TA, GA, whatever you want to call it, I'm trying to figure out how am I going to manage the assessment, because the papers that they were writing about were topics of very much current events and generated discussion. And I'm thinking that, well, maybe the other way to do it would be to still have them read the articles, but then include that in the quiz, because I don't have the time to grade 250 pages a week.
Mhm.
What I have found, this is a 3,000 level class, so it's a junior level class, that they're writing just plain and blunt, brutal English sucks.
Mhm.
And so by really enforcing basic rules of grammar and to enforce the idea that you don't write in academic writing, you don't write passive voice. At the end of the semester, they all appreciated it. They hated me during the semester, but
Sure.
at the end of the semester, they appreciated it. And so the assessment has got me a little bit puzzled, and I'm open to suggestions.
Just from a workload perspective, yeah, I have 50 to 100 students in my class, and I have them write one page every other week. So that second week is typically my space to get it all reviewed and feedback back to them. But I'm going to have to change that because the requirements for the GE now require more writing. So I'm going to have to do it probably 2 out of every 3 weeks, or maybe every week. So I empathize with your challenge. So I guess part of it, and again, I encourage anybody who's got writing as an element of their course to raise your hand and chime in. And Gabrielle is asking, do all campus locations have embedded tutors available for courses? Not sure about that, Gabriella. I know that there's tutoring, and often there's also writing centers. That's a slightly different approach to supporting students with their writing. And then another avenue is a peer review element, where you could have them write their papers, give each other feedback, and then work in small groups to summarize the ideas that they've come up with individually as a group. That might allow you to read 5 papers for every 50 people if you put them in groups of 10, but it doesn't always have the same trickle down effect of every student getting personalized feedback. What ideas do folks have for Gary? And Gabriella, say more if you want to talk about embedded tutors.
Well, I actually recently discovered, because we actually have, well, we have 2 or 3 lecturers who had rather large classes, and they were facing a really hard time with, evaluating the work. And so I think it's because I'm on Academic Senate, and they were reviewing our writing policy. And so that's when I found out about embedded tutors. And I've been here 20 plus years. And it was the first time I'd actually heard of that. And I mean, I don't teach, so it wouldn't be something that I would be looking for, but it would have been a good information to have, so that it was a resource I could offer, or at least link my lecturers to, especially when they're teaching not only large classes, but several classes. And the embedded tutors come into the classroom, and they, at specific times during the semester, and they come in and they help the professor actually evaluate the work so that they can move on to the next section. So I don't know if that's something that's available in all the campuses.
Something to investigate. Gary, what campus are you teaching on?
I'm teaching at San Bernardino.
Okay. So we can reach out to, let's say, Mauricio Cadavid or somebody from that campus to see if they can help you identify support.
And technically, I don't even have to have any writing. I could just do, midterm and a final, or just a final. But to me, it's like, if I don't have some sort of an assessment for the work that they're assigned, hey, we were all students at one time. We know how that game's played.
Well, and also what we've been talking about with respect to equity is, if you only have a midterm and a final, that makes it harder for students because they have to do extremely well in high stakes circumstances, rather than spreading out the assessment load, not only for yourself, but for the students. I'm wondering if there's a way to maybe have fewer writing assignments, but staggering them so that you're not grading 250 in a week. A rotating basis amongst all your courses might be another way to help you with the load, in addition to possibly pulling in other people like these embedded tutors. Any others have ideas for Gary on how to not water down the assessment strategies, make sure students are being asked, especially in the third year, doing things of consequence, but not making it so hard that you can't sleep.
Kevin, these papers were really short too. They were only, I designed the assignment that they were only a 5-paragraph paper.
Yeah, mine are 500 words, but it's still, like you said, when you're looking at it, not just for the content, but also for grammar and other things, then it's hard to just skim. You're giving people credible feedback that takes time to do. Even if you're spending 5 minutes per paper, 5 times 250, it's a lot of time. Well, Gary, I'm going to make a note here, see if there are strategies that are documented that we can share. Yazdan says maybe create a rubric for assessment and get help from some of the best students. Or Yazdan, take that idea and again, insert that peer review element where they're looking for the grammar elements. They're looking for things and there's fewer mistakes for you to catch when it gets to you. Megan, thanks for joining us. And we did catch the link to the Creative Cloud Express, and we will definitely point people in your direction. Gabriella, your hand up again?
Yes, I did want to find out though, like when you're doing a rubric for assessment and getting help from the best students, is there, I guess, is there a way to, not have it be a big additional workload? I guess I'm trying to figure out how instructors make that happen.
Right, yeah, that's why I pivoted from the best students where you're creating invisible labor and maybe rewarding them with points, but that is really not related to their own performance in the course, and making it something that every student does. The peer review process helps students not only support their peers, but it also helps them by seeing other ways that the ideas are conveyed or framed or organized. And so I have students review 2 other students' work a couple times a semester so that they can get ideas while they're in the process of using the rubric to give feedback to those other students. And we go through an exercise where we actually use a sample paper from a previous semester that I have permission to use, and everybody reviews it with the same rubric. And then we compare so that when they're doing it with each other, there's greater consistency. The students often at the beginning, some people are very harsh reviewers and some people are very lenient. And both of those have their pros and cons. And so if we can get everybody moving toward the middle, then we get, again, more consistent feedback getting to the learners, and also a chance for me as an instructor reading 100 papers to be looking at better work products at the end. But yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, Gabriella. If you were to ask just a small group of students to help grade, then that should be paid work. That's like instead of a teaching assistant, they call them readers, or basically someone who helps just with grading.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gary, I've got that note, and we'll see if we can't get you some more ideas. Other questions or things that you're excited to try here based on what we discussed? Any of the equity challenges have you stumped, or folks have a strategy that they're excited to try, not just to increase flexibility, but equity? I know Yazdan talked about specifications grading earlier. Interested to know what other strategies people are going to try. Yazdan.
I have used another method in my break rooms and my participation of students. The thing that I can tell you is that in redesigning that, I tried to have a person who always should resist. You know, it was based on thermodynamic analysis, source and sink. So basically, you know, when I came to the break rooms or when I was listening to the discussion of students, I saw that this is very good environment. Nobody is telling, no, this is not true. So I tried to tell them, one should always be resisting. You should rechange that. So redesigning that was very interesting. And I think I got results that I can tell you. Finally, I had something for my problems given to students. One problem was individual, and then there was group problems. So, you know, I distinguished that, you know, some problems they should work together, some problems they should not work together. And then I was checking them. Although I should tell them this strategy was very, very intense, especially on me, because after the class, I could not do anything. You know, this should I tell you. But it was very good for students because I got the feedback after that. The feedback was very good. So I don't know, this was another thing that I got, redesigning the break rooms or the discussions of students.
And when you say resistor, do you mean like a devil's advocate who takes a opposite view?
Yeah, someone who gives, no, this is not true. Someone who brings or drives the discussion. It is not something everyone tells, okay, you are right, something like this. Someone who really discusses it another point of view. So that was the thing that I tried to do that. And I told them, when you are doing this, if I notice that you are doing something good, I will give you some bonus grade to that. So it was good, you know, it was really animating the discussion in the class.
There's another strategy out there. If anybody uses Reddit, which is a popular online discussion environment, they have discussion forums called Change My View, where someone will put out a statement. I believe that the best orange juice uses Valencia oranges or whatever, change my view. And people will then present a case that's different than that to encourage people to look beyond their own experiences. So, but I like that. And in team-based projects, they often have roles like the person who's going to report back to the whole class or the teacher, someone who's the researcher who's going to look up what the group doesn't know. And often those roles can include and should include a resistor or a devil's advocate, someone who makes sure that the group isn't just kind of going along with the first idea that is presented, but trying to find the best idea by challenging people to think beyond what they've seen or heard. So I like that. Other ideas?
Well, it's not totally related, but at San Jose State, we're just this summer, right now, we're starting a new month-long program for faculty on refining course materials, a UDL, Universal Design for Learning experience. So, and there are 100 faculty in that. And there does seem to be a push from different areas of the university for equitable learning. And certainly the UDL aspect of it is to provide alternative formats within Canvas or as you're teaching. So that's a positive thing to include.
Yeah, and a UDL can include alternative formats for course materials, but it can also be alternative formats for your activities. So I think it was maybe Denise was talking about discussions, right? And one thing that I did for discussions in my class is students can now either type their ideas like they always do and insert pictures, or they can create a Flipgrid video and put the link in the discussion forum so that students, instead of reading the response, can watch a 1 or 2 minute video where the student is speaking their response. Provides alternative format, and Flipgrid is automatically captioned. And I give students the tutorial on how to fix the captions if they're not correct. So that way, if we have any students who have a disability and need an accommodation, they can be sure that those captions are correct. But I would say, a small percentage of students use that feature, but it's nice to be able to enrich that discussion, and those Flipgrid videos are a fun way to do it. Dennis, I see you've joined via video. You have something you want to share you're one of the long-standing, experienced, flexible teachers. Anything that you're excited to try this summer? I know you're always tweaking and working on your course.
Oh yeah, well, experimenting with a few more things. I taught a course a few years back, basically, where had experimented with Education 4.0, where you're providing more of a learning environment. You're not really teaching per se. And so I had required the students, let's see, this is about a 20 to 30 students in the course, and had asked them basically to be in 4 different groups working on 4 different projects. So each person would be in a different group and would have a different sort of role. So what I was trying to address was this, sort of group work or type of thing, and being in a group, and people would, being in a group, you feel like, well, if you don't do it, nothing's going to get done. Or you have the alpha person in the group that wants to go off in a particular direction, and so you're feeling kind of diminished about what your contribution should be for that piece. Or there's another group of, I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do, type of thing. And so this sort of that kind of apathy moving through. So what I was trying to do was, at the heart of it, basically, again, sort of an engineering course, and then, modeling the fact that they were they just joined this company. They wanted to be engineers. So I said, fine, you're engineers. And then said, well, we got hired on at this company basically to get these projects done. So how are we going to do these projects? And so I kind of tap the interests of the groups, of the people who are in the class, in terms of what kinds of projects are they interested in. And so we put up a grid of that, or basically put those up there, and then said, okay, well, obviously we can't do this, list of 30 different projects. Who's interested in being on helping out with this particular project or this particular project, and sort of meshed those particular things together. So we got the teams together. And so that way, people would be on 4 simultaneous teams at one time, instead of, anyway. So then basically took blooms and just flipped it, referring to the pyramid, basically. And so instead of moving up the pyramid from understanding up to create, said, wanted to tap the particular create piece. Okay. And so I said, all right, fine. Well, so these looks like these are the projects and stuff like that. So now how are we going to do those projects? And so, well, we need to know about this concept or that concept or what, what's USB or what's Wi-Fi or whatever type thing, and they said, great. Okay. Well, then we need to have, now they're basically motivated to go through and then understand the terminology. And so then what we'd have were members of each of the particular groups basically would now spearhead and go look up like USB or something like, or some particular term, whatever the item was. They would research it, come back, do the presentation on it, have that information, and then also develop an activity for the class to do. So very dynamic kind of education 4.0, where you're really looking at the teaching environment or the learning environment for those students. Each have that helped with a lot of equity. It helped build a lot of community, helped they were very cohesive at that particular point. They basically became a real team, an engineering team for the entire class, and they're made up of all these sub-teams working on these different projects. And they would very much go and help each other out because they knew what the other ones were working on and where they needed and how people could help and work in that particular manner. So that was very exciting. They came up with very wild things. I mean, very way more than I would ever have dreamed up myself to say, well, here, go do these particular projects. They just came up with the things that they wanted to do in that manner. And so I've been looking to incorporate more of those particular into other courses at this point, and how I can open up space in each of the courses so that there is some sort of applied or activity project or something like that, that the students can sort of apply what they've learned in that manner. Thank you.
Very cool. And Denise, it sounds a little bit like something that might help you with your idea of having students propose or generate topics for the discussions, right? The way he
Yeah,
had
that would be
them.
good. I agree.
It almost sounds, Dennis, like an unconference. If any of you have ever been to what's called an unconference session, you get all the people at a virtual or physical space together in one room, and then they just start putting ideas on the wall with sticky notes of what they want to talk about, and they put it in a box which says it's going to be at this time in this location. And then when you get enough sticky notes in one room, then you can say, okay, well, this is a topic there's a lot of interest, this is a topic there's a lot of interest. There's only one sticky note over here, so you can't have a conversation by yourself. Which one do you want to join? So that might be another way to do it, kind of a cross between what Dennis shared and that unconference idea.
Well, a variation off of that was then use like a Google Doc. And so basically I was sort of fascinated. You couldn't really hold the students back to a certain point. I mean, I was trying to be very careful not to superimpose a particular structure on it. I mean, other than, it needed to be a learning environment and there were certain goals and stuff like that. So there's certain learning objectives and stuff like that we wanted to do. I want to make sure those were being addressed. But they just took off. They basically set up a particular Google account for the class, had everybody sort of enroll in it. They basically then created the page, and then they listed out what are the particular project ideas, and then they started. And it was fascinating because you could just see it in real time and so it was all this parallel kind of operation rather than the serial where, okay, well, one person would talk, one person would sort of say what they wanted to say and stuff. But no, you just basically had this cohesive kind of thing occurring at that point. And so that helped catalyze that piece. And now we could get down to, okay, well, what's happening with this project and discuss that particular piece and so on. So then, it was an interesting combination of the two.
Nice. Well, for a small group, we've generated a lot of discussion topics. I love it. So we've got about 13 minutes left before our time is up. And I want to make sure there's room for any last thoughts, questions, things that you'd love to get brainstorm with the group as you head off to work on your course over the summer. And I'll state now that I'm interested in getting everyone back together, get the band back together later in the summer, so that there's an opportunity, as Denise kind of hinted. I'm not going to know what questions I have until I get started on the work. And so we want to create a space. We did it last at the end of July. So maybe we can do that again with this group. Just anybody that wants to meet and say, hey, I've been working on this for a month now, and these are the questions I still haven't answered, and I need to answer them before classes begin. So help. And so I'll chat with Leslie Kennedy and Emily Magruder to make sure that we're able to facilitate that, but just know in the back of your minds, and for those of you watching the recording, you know it too, that's something that I want to work toward.
Also, it seems that in this program this summer, you also had faculty from perhaps last year's program that gave stories about success stories that they've enjoyed, right?
Correct. So yeah, we pulled in around, I think over a dozen, maybe closer to 15 faculty from around 8 different campuses. And they shared their stories and their experiences from creating flexibility for their students. And we heard, let's say, from Susan Avanzino from Chico. She said, here's what didn't work. When I created flexible due dates, man, that created some problems for me. And here's how I fixed it. And so those are all the things that we need to hear, right? Especially if it's our first time creating a flexible course environment, having students in the room and on Zoom, or students are also participating asynchronously. I've never had to juggle so many different groups, and I want to reduce my workload. We heard Gary talk about just the fact that he's got more students and he has this assessment strategy that's going to increase his workload. If he has even a 1-page paper for those students every so often, that's 250 pages. He's got to read basically the equivalent of a book a week. And that's a lot, especially because he doesn't just get to read the book. He's got to give feedback to 250 people. So would it be faster to use screencasts and video feedback so that you don't have to write on each one? You can just scroll through it as you're reading and give the feedback out loud. And students respond positively to video feedback because they can listen to it and then incorporate what you've shared, annotating right on the document in real time, as opposed to this process of posting it back to the learning management system or emailing or however you do it. So those are the types of challenges that we need to address because we're not alone in facing them.
I was just going to add to that in terms of not only participating in last year's workshop, but also we took the contents of that workshop and used that as for professional development, for faculty development in the summer, and use that as a core. And then we launched helping faculty get ready for the fall and spring, or for the year, and making some changes to their particular courses in this very dynamic sort of environment that we live in at this particular point. And so how to address some of those particular areas and stuff. Back to the other point about the assignments and the flexible assignments. Yes, it brought a smile to my face. Anyway, so that was having that kind of a experience. You wanted to, maximum flexibility, okay, great. And so then just a tsunami of assignments being turned in at the end of the semester. You just couldn't deal with it. It's just impossible in that manner. So I think that again, part of universal design while you're addressing one segment with that, you're really kind of messing up other learners. Basically, a certain learners, number of learners basically want a framework, and what do I need to have done at a particular point in time? So I find that while I can be flexible, I still also need to have a basic a structure, so that those who need that particular structure and it's evident to them, so they can track with that. Now I'll have ones that will deviate off of the structure, and I have some compliance and some in the system to deal with that. It's better to have, I found, to sort of state up and state in the syllabus and stuff like that, what sort of the structure is, so they have an idea of how they can pace themselves and everything too.
Good points. And Klaus, like we did last year, we intend, once we get all the recordings up and the Canvas course ready, we'll make a copy of it for campuses to be able to use on locally, like Dennis described they did at Sacramento. And we know a number of campuses basically either used it as a resource. Hey, look over here if you want to do a self-paced thing. We also have a public version up from last year, so that any faculty member in the world that wants to go through those course materials and activities can do so on their own. But if your campus wants to do something a little bit more structured, then you're welcome. So we will alert everyone when that's ready, hopefully sometime in the next few weeks, once we get everything squared away. I know Gabriela has been asking about the chat summaries. And so I have 2 of the 4 sessions. We've created chat summaries for each one, and then we've made links to each bookmark in the summary. So here's an example in the chat of how we've been putting together these Google Docs for our asynchronous participants. Hi again to those of you in the future. Know that we're thinking about you. And so this is one way we're doing it. You can't participate in the chat if you're watching the recording. Well, yes, you can. You just move the chat from one place to another that allows people to participate, and hopefully people will.
Yeah, 2 comments. One was we were faced with this faculty development particular piece and how to sort of organize all this. And so we were quickly finding that it was just a tremendous workload to put all that together. Whereas what you had done, Gavin, was basically to kind of, again, sort of set a framework in here. So we used that as a book. So we used the sort of we just basically called it, that was the sort of textbook for the class, and having that particular framework, so you could sort of see the rich examples and the discussion that had occurred and stuff like that. So it was a lot more dynamic in terms of a particular book, but really provided people with that. And so we could open up and then have these discussions based off of what had off of the framework that you'd set up. So I thought that was another good use of that particular material in that way.
Awesome. Well, we've got 5 minutes left, and I want to see, maybe we can go around the horn since there are so few of us, and maybe share one thing that you're getting ready to try, or one thing that you want to share encouragement for your peers. And we can go alphabetically, I guess, with I think Denise would be first.
I'm going to try that. What I talked about earlier, that they were finished with a certain section, and we have an awesome eCampus department in San Jose State. So don't be afraid to ask them for help, because they really are good.
Great. Dennis.
I'm looking at refining out more of my asynchronous, looking at sort of an asynchronous core to my courses, and then richly helping those things with help sessions and stuff like that. So like these workshops you're doing. So what kind of modeling a number of things? Well, Kevin, we've been working together off and on for, together for quite a number of years, actually, between the different conferences and sort of borrowing some ideas, whether we had some direct conversations on some of that stuff or not. Anyway, so putting more of those into play, modeling a number of the particular things about the micro lectures, and then looking at the micro activities, how to do those particular things. Oh, one of the things I was going to mention just a little bit earlier was I found that I just kind of let reality come into some of the projects. And so sometimes there's a mistake or something in there, and I find how that really fosters a lot of discussion, and how people really, very, the students get very engaged over that particular piece and stuff like that too. So very good. Those are the things that I'm working on. Thank you.
Sure. Emily, you've been quiet, but I want to create space if you want to chime in.
Yeah, most for priority for me to implement is like the assessment, how to create the assessment to build up the final, like students can use the rubric as a kind of learning tools. Assessment also kind of the way to learning tools to build up their toward the final learning outcome.
That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriella.
Hi. So I think for me, mainly it's just as being a support person, I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of a handle on what is being used. And I also had been using the previous system, which is iLearn, for collaborative sites and trying to maintain that. So just modeling some of the tools in a way so that maybe if they haven't thought of them, they'll see that that's something that's available on the collaborative site. And then hopefully that can help them model in their classroom.
Awesome. Gary.
Please don't put this in the chat, but or in the
Do you want me to pause the recording? Let me pause it.
Please.
For Klaus.
Yeah, as far as encouragement for peers, we really can find support from our peers. And it could be in classes like this, where we get ideas from each other. It could be just talking with faculty on your own campus, or it could be other conferences where we find out from others that sometimes we're faced with a problem or a situation. It could be with other workers, or it could be with trying to get a certain type of course going or something like that. But we can find out just having our peers talk about what they've done, can really can get positive outcomes, and showing examples, just getting examples from our peers for what works, and like we discussed today, what also doesn't work, and then presenting that in our institution, so
Yeah.
here's to peers.
Here's to peers. Cheers to peers.
Cheers to
Teresa, do you have anything you want to add?
I've enjoyed being in the background and just listening to everyone's feedback and ideas, and listening to all the presenters. I learned a lot, so it was great. It was happy to be here and help support in the background.
And
Good
we
job,
so
Kevin.
appreciate you. Many people don't know how much you did to make this institute happen. So I said it before, and I will say it again. I will sing her praises from the rooftops. Wanda.
Yes, I'm extremely excited about the things that the techniques I have learned, especially with the liquid syllabus. It just sort of stuck in my head. And and I have to say, I was in the same boat as Gary. You find out that you're hired, and then you got to do the thing. So I really didn't have an opportunity to get as much support as I would have liked regarding what's what, you know, you're just given a thing and you got to run with it. So being able to have the opportunity, at least I hope to have the opportunity to create a course or courses of not only just substance, but inclusivity and to demonstrate all the things that we've been taught, especially with the UDL and being flexible and addressing all learning modalities and such. I want to be able to do that effectively instead of just rushing in to do the thing. So, and I feel that as a teacher educator, you know, we have teacher candidates, and they're being encouraged to do stuff to reach all their students. I should be able to demonstrate that. And instead of just saying, well, do this thing, and they don't know what that thing looks like, but just do it anyway. I would like to be able to demonstrate that, because the only way that people know to incorporate anything is to learn by doing. They have to do it, but in order to do it, they have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my head is at. And I look forward to hopefully work with students, because I don't know whether that's going to be happening or not. Yeah, this has been very enlightening, and it actually it resonates with my style of teaching. So yeah, so I appreciate everybody's input and everything that I've had the opportunity to learn and experience in this course, or PD.
Excellent. And thank you for sharing that. And last but not least, Yazdan.
Well, you know, the thing that, you know, I'm going to do is that the thing that Dennis told is very interesting. Putting some problems that is wrong and creating some engagement and more discussion with students. I think that is very interesting idea. And certainly I will do this. And in the end, I want to thank everyone, and especially thank you, Kevin, for creating this environment that we can come and exchange ideas. And I hope this will continue like that. Thank you very much.
You bet. Well, we have the Canvas course, we have the Slack environment, and we are going, again, my goal is to get us all back together, whoever can join synchronously or asynchronously in another month or so before the semester begins, so that we can get some of those questions answered after we've been working on our courses. So I know we went a couple minutes over, our captioner had to leave, but thank you everyone for your participation. I know some of you have been to every session, so gold stars all around, whether you came to one or all of them, or you did everything asynchronously. We appreciate you participating, and we will keep that community going. So enjoy your holiday weekend coming up. If you're going to be at the online teaching conference, we'll see you maybe in person later in the week. But I'll let you all get back to your days. And again, thanks for joining today.
Thank you.
Hey, Kevin.